Disney have just announced a sequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy. This is my thing, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, but Disney have handled it not particularly well, and we need to break that down. This is all subjective opinion, so let's just have some fun here. Like, sub, share this video, and tell me what you think. I'm also going to add Patreon and memberships are available for exclusive content that you'll get nowhere else. So, let's start the show, and let's break down Disney Star Wars. If you've been following Disney's recent Star Wars updates, you may already know another trilogy is on the horizon, building from the sequel trilogy. This announcement brings the grand total of planned/unreleased Star Wars films to a staggering 14. 14. Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, but as the galaxy grows, so did the complaints, and for good reason. Disney's approach to Star Wars has been polarizing, at best. That's a good way to say it, polarizing at best. And I won't lie, the hype around the 2012 acquisition was initially high. Fans were thinking new Star Wars movies. I was like, more adventures in a galaxy far, far away. I want a Jabba the Hutt popcorn bucket. And while The Force Awakens did well, reigniting excitement in a nostalgia-driven story, things quickly went off the rails. The Last Jedi divided the fanbase like nothing else, and The Rise of Skywalker felt like a chaotic attempt to patch things up and course correct. So why are fans bracing themselves for a new announcement? Is it a good bracing or a bad bracing at this point? Because we're all hanging on to that seat when we crashed the car. Disney's sequel trilogy was a lesson in how not to handle a franchise. Rather than building a cohesive story, Disney let different directors write and direct each film without an overreaching plan. The result was a saga of conflicted tones, sudden character revisions, and unresolved storylines, and a few plot holes. Kylo Ren's arc seemed unclear. Rey's origin went from mysterious to somewhat forced, and side characters, Finn, the best character in that trilogy, was sidelined. A force-sensitive character that was built up to be quite important was sidelined. They even removed him off the Chinese posters, but that's a whole different discussion. Now, if you want the honest truth, those films stumbled towards a messy and unsatisfying conclusion, and the end of that final film, I think, just made us all scratch our heads and think, what the hell? The sheer volume of Star Wars content Disney has pushed out over the past decade has arguably damaged the brand's appeal as well. Part of what made Star Wars magical was its scarcity. We went for years, sometimes decades, without new content. The waiting period allowed time to speculate, discuss, and appreciate each film. Disney's rapid-fire release strategy, including standalone movies like Rogue One, which I genuinely enjoyed, and the bizarre disco in space that was Solo, it's a very interesting love letter to the 70s, and I did actually enjoy that movie for the most part. And a multitude of Disney Plus series have diluted the excitement. Marvel's success with this kind of expanded universe may have inspired Disney's approach, but what works for superheroes doesn't necessarily work for Star Wars. Marvel was a serialized comic. It still is. It was a universe before it was on film. It was more episodic, and that translated well to a spawning cinematic universe. Star Wars, by contrast, was a focused saga that fans followed intently and emotionally. It was cohesive, there was a story, and it was structured. Disney's missteps go beyond just the movies. The marketing has felt both aggressive and detached, at times feeling more like a cash grab than a genuine love letter to fans. Merchandising, Disney Plus shows appear at breakneck speed. You can buy lightsabers, you can go and buy all of these toys at a discount price a few months after the release. I'm still seeing toys from The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens in stores now in discount retailers such as B&M, Home Bargains, and so on. While deeper storytelling is often sacrificed when they take this approach as well. Boom, 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 endless films, endless content, but where's the storytelling and where's the writing going? After the disappointing box office performance of Solo, Disney scaled back. They shelved products, shifting in focus to streaming. This approach gave us gems like The Mandalorian. And if you want the honest truth, it's also a reminder that Disney is still trying to course correct. Another point of frustration is Disney handling of legacy characters. There were a handful of very vocal people on the internet who saw Luke Skywalker's arc in The Last Jedi as a bold evolution, but me and probably a much higher majority felt like it was a betrayal. Similar that the rise of Skywalker seemed to reframe characters like Palpatine and Rey in a way that felt disconnected from the original trilogy, and often just derailed the themes in the classic hero's story, which basically that's all Star Wars is. It's King Arthur in space. Maybe they need to stick to that formula. They want to make money, yet they push out garbage. Endless streams of garbage. And we won't. The Acolyte is a prime example of that. And with the announcement of yet another trilogy, Disney may have a chance to redeem itself. But honestly, my skepticism, and I think many other people's skepticism, Disney will have to work very, very hard to show that they're not just making a brand, but genuinely looking to create compelling stories, respect the legacy of Star Wars, and respect the original creators, rather than just dilute it. Don't forget, you can't have strong men on screen in 2024. For fans, there's a desire to see the franchise handled with respect and thoughtfulness it deserves. The original trilogy, and even the prequels, despite their flaws, The Phantom Menace, had I think if that Disney tried to do that, it would have been lost. Star Wars fans, I should say, don't necessarily want more, they want better. Fans are willing to wait for quality storytelling and honour the spirit of the galaxy far, far away. But if Disney continues this sort of endless stream of content approach, and they have scaled back in recent months, especially with the failure of The Acolyte, I do believe that if they keep going the way they're doing, Star Wars is already fading into the background of pop culture, and a galaxy far, far away that fans no longer feel compelled to visit. Fans aren't against more Star Wars movies, but they are tired of the mishandling and honestly just the mismanagement of this whole series, and the cash grab feel that has defined Disney's takeover of the franchise. Whether this new trilogy will be a fresh start or another addition to the saga's growing list of letdowns remain to be seen. But if Disney want Star Wars to truly live on, they need to put the force back in their storytelling, bring in good writers, bring in people with talent, bring in the people that know Star Wars, and stop hiring people that have never seen it or don't like it. Come on.